why is that important? I know you and I talked about this when we met down in Florida, and this was one of the things that really stuck out with me about you, because it was beyond the get ripped and shredded. It was really, like I said, I mean, one of the things that really struck me was your focus on developing healthy nutritional habits and things like that. So it does go beyond the six-pack abs. And so you bring out like organic grass-fed beef, local farms, organic produce, things like that. Why? Why should? I mean, especially now with gas prices suck, and today my wife came home from fuming from the grocery store. We just got back from Mexico, and she went and bought a whole bunch of groceries. She's like, "Can you believe this? It's like $5.30 for a gallon of milk." And everything is skyrocketing now, and I think a lot of people are afraid that if they see the word organic, it's like a vampire in garlic, because the impression is that it's not worth the money. It's not, it's too expensive to do this. Explain to us a little bit why you think it's important for like grass-fed beef and for organic meats and vegetables and stuff.
Well, I mean, basically, if you're saying it's not worth it, and you're saying, is your health not worth it? I mean, what you put in your body is the building blocks of you and your future. So getting back to your question about meat and why I choose, why I shy away from typical grocery store meat, is if you think about it, okay, eating meat can be inherently healthy, and I know a lot of the vegetarians are going to be yelling at me right now, but it can be inherently healthy for us if the animal is healthy. Now, so that's where I agree with the vegetarians, is that eating meat, a lot of times is not healthy because of the way the animals are raised. And unfortunately, commercial factory farms, the animals aren't raised on the type of food they were meant to eat. We already talked about the example of beef or bison, buffalo. They're not meant to eat piles of soybean and corn. They're meant to graze around all day long and eat grass and clover and alfalfa, things like that. So that drastically changes the nutritional makeup of the meat. So, you hear a lot about how the grass-fed meats, the beef and the bison, and when they're grass-fed, they have a lot higher ratios of omega-3 fats to inflammatory omega-6 fats, and they have higher levels of conjugated linoleic acid, CLA. And there's a lot of things that are going on that is just a lot more healthy when you're eating a healthy animal as opposed to an animal that wasn't brought up right. And, this goes into, the antibiotics and the hormones and other things that they're given as well. And if the feed they were given was, had a lot of pesticides on it and all kinds of things like that. But if you just get back to simplicity and common sense, the products you're eating from a healthy animal are going to be better for you. And it goes with eggs, it goes with meat, it goes with milk, any animal products that we're referring to with, when we're talking about protein in our diets. So.
Yeah, I really started, because it's one of those things that for a lot of people it's more faith-based, because it's not like you eat an organic, bunch of spinach and, wow, I can't believe the difference. It's not like you're going to grow Popeye muscle and stuff. So for a lot of people, it's like, well, if they don't have an immediate gratification from it, why pay the extra money for it? And I really started listening to my friend and mentor, Dr. Michael Colgan, who is just a huge advocate for going organic and a lot of the things that you just said. And it's one of those things that once you learn to budget that in, it becomes part of your monthly budget. You can do it when you start to place your health as a priority. Mike, I've got a kind of a story here to share with you because, yesterday I got back from 2 weeks in Mexico. We always go out we've got this secret place in Mexico. It's kind of a real remote area. It's an old Mexican town, very, very, very cool spot. And we took the kids there this time, and they're still alive. I managed to get back from vacation, and they're still alive. And when we were out there, one of the things that they noticed was that the cows, they're like, wow, all those cows are so skinny. I was like, no, you're used to seeing these, genetically produced bioengineered cows that they stuff, out at these farms. So this is what you're used to seeing, but what you're seeing out here are normal grass-fed cows that graze all day long. And this is what typically cows used to look like. And the other thing that happened when we were out there, my wife and I got in this conversation with it was a woman who was actually studying nutrition in Mexico and in the United States. And she was a huge advocate for organic. And we started talking to her about all the stuff that we're seeing coming into the U.S. from Mexico. She immediately just got her eyes went wide, and she's like, don't buy any foods from Mexico, even the organic stuff. Now, here's what she told me, and I don't know if you've heard this or not. This was complete news to me, but what she was saying was that the chemicals that they're using, and they are chemicals in Mexico on the organic farms, are just as dangerous, but they're not the kind of chemicals that are detected by when they come into the U.S. and they're tested to whether or not they're organic or not. So, in other words, they've found new chemicals. It's kind of like steroids, I guess, right? You find the steroids that don't, they kind of go through the testing or whatever, and you don't worry, they don't get detected. She was saying that a lot of the chemicals, fertilizers and pesticides they're using are not detectable by our traditional standards of testing for organic food, so that what we're getting from Mexico is labeled as organic you shouldn't be buying. Have you heard anything about that?